Scoop, which premieres on Netflix on April 5, is a dramatization of the true story behind Prince Andrew's fateful 2019 interview with the BBC. The film follows the efforts to arrange an interview between the news program Newsnight and the disgraced royal. Initially seen by the British royal family as a means of combating the negative press surrounding Prince Andrew's connection to disgraced sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. However, the prince's answers made the situation more chaotic, all while underscoring the importance of committed press. Scoop dramatizes the events that led to the interview itself, and the ensuing fallout. At the center of the story is Prince Andrew, the Duke of York and the second son of Queen Elizabeth II. Despite being well respected by the public in his youth, the scandalous nature and shocking revelations about his friendship with Epstein proved to be the final straw for much of the British citizenry. Played by Rufus Sewell in Scoop, Prince Andrew's interview was a public fiasco for the royal family and a fascinating example of powerful institutions being confronted with public consequences. Here's the true story behind Prince Andrew's interview with the BBC that serves as the inspiration for Scoop. The 2019 BBC interview led to Prince Andrew's public downfall. Prince Andrew's interview with the BBC, explained. Scoop Netflix Prince Andrew Film 11. Prince Andrew's interview with the BBC show Newsnight, which is the primary subject of Scoop, was a major blow to the perception of the Duke of York and led the British royal to cease all of his public duties and appearances. Prince Andrew had already become an increasingly controversial member of the British royal family prior to the interview, due in part to his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a New York financier who fostered relationships with many famous world leaders. He was also a sex offender who was arrested multiple times before dying in prison in 2019. Years prior, Prince Andrew was named in a lawsuit that accused him of having sexual relations with Virginia Giuffre, then a minor allegedly trafficked for sex by Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell. This was followed by revelations included in a defamation trial that alleged Prince Andrew had been seen at Epstein's property with other young women. Prince Andrew, and the royal family as a whole, have become increasingly controversial in the 21st century, but the accusations surrounding Prince Andrew eventually forced the royals to respond with an interview that would only do further damage to his reputation and image. How BBC negotiated the Prince Andrew interview with Buckingham Palace. Why Newsnight almost didn't get the interview with Prince Andrew. While the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew was public knowledge in 2019, it became a much more talked about situation following Prince Andrew's interview with Newsnight on BBC. As reported by The Guardian, before the topic of Epstein received renewed interest in the public eye, Newsnight initially decided against interviewing Prince Andrew. When the news program was first offered a chance to set up a chat with Prince Andrew, it was specifically to discuss his charity work. The press relations arm of Buckingham Palace demanded any interview with Andrew to avoid certain topics, specifically his connections to Epstein. After months of negotiations to expand the potential puff piece into a more wide-ranging interview, the death of Jeffrey Epstein changed the circumstances. As depicted in Scoop, Sam McAllister and the BBC were able to negotiate with Buckingham Palace and the publicity arm of the British monarchy to expand the scope of the interview. As depicted in Scoop, Prince Andrew met with the Newsnight team and agreed to an expansive interview. Reportedly, Queen Elizabeth II gave the go-ahead on the interview, although there remained some dispute over this. The interview was held on November 14, 2019, and broadcast 2 nights later.